So, NVIDIA just dropped a bombshell. They're saying they've built a personal AI supercomputer. Yeah, a supercomputer for your desk. It's a wild claim, right? The idea is to completely change the game for developers. But is it for real? Or is there a catch? Let's dig in and see.
All right, check this out. The number they're throwing around is 1 petaflop of AI performance. Now, that number is it's huge. To give you some context, that's the kind of power that just a little while ago you'd only find in these gigantic room-filling data center racks. It's insane. And get this, they've somehow crammed all of that horsepower into a box the size of a lunchbox. Seriously, it's barely bigger than a Mac Mini. I mean, the engineering is incredible, no doubt about it, but it also makes you ask a pretty big question. Because this thing costs $4,000. And for $3,999, that's a serious chunk of change. So we've got to ask, is the DGX Spark actually the king of desktop AI? Is it the most powerful machine for your desk? Or is there something else going on here? That's exactly what we're about to break down. Okay, so when you look at the performance of this thing, it's kind of fascinating because it's not a simple story, It's not just fast or slow. It's really a tale of two very different speeds. And this paradox, it's what really defines what this machine is all about. So, to really get what's happening with the benchmarks, you need to understand two key things. First, there's prompt processing. Think of this as how fast the machine can read a giant prompt. Like, imagine you're feeding it a 1,000-page book all at once. That's all about raw compute power. Then there's token generation. This is how fast it can write the answer, one word or token at a time. This is more like the AI writing its own story, and for that, it's all about memory speed. And man, when it comes to that first part, prompt processing, the DGX Spark is an absolute beast. We're talking over 1,700 tokens per second. It's actually even faster than a super powerful DIY rig with three RTX 3090s. It just inhales data. It's incredible. Okay, but here's where the whole story just flips on its head. When it's time to actually generate the response, the writing part, the DGX Spark just plummets to the back of the line. We're talking only 38.5 tokens per second. That DIY rig, it's over 3 times faster, and even the Mac Studio is almost twice as fast. So what in the world is going on here? And here's your answer, plain and simple. It's a memory bottleneck. You see, the Spark's memory bandwidth is about 273 gigabytes per second. Now, that sounds fast, right? But it gets absolutely dwarfed by the competition. The Mac Studio has over 800, and that 3090 rig has over 900. So here's the bottom line. The Spark has a lightning-fast brain for thinking, but it has a really slow mouth for speaking. That's the paradox. All right, so the Spark has this really unique, kind of weird performance profile. So let's broaden our view a bit. Let's see how this very specialized machine stacks up against the other big players in the desktop AI space. It's time for a little hardware showdown. So we've basically got 4 different contenders, each with its own personality. You've got the DGX Spark, which we'll call the Specialized Pro. Then there's the Mac Studio, that's the sleek sprinter. It's all about that output speed. You've got AMD's Strix Halo, that's the value challenger, trying to give you more for less. And finally, the DIY rig. That's just the DIY brute. Pure, raw power. Now, let's just pause here for a second, because this chart tells a really interesting story. First, look at the price for the AMD Strix Halo. Whoa, it's almost half the price of the Spark. But its generation speed, that decode performance on the far right, is pretty similar. Then look at that bandwidth column. Now you can see exactly why the Mac Studio and the 3090 rig just demolish everything else in that last column. I mean, based on these numbers alone, the Spark just doesn't seem to make sense, which really leads us to the most important question of all, right? If the Spark isn't the fastest at writing, and it's definitely not the cheapest, then why does this thing even exist? And this is where we have to start looking beyond the simple benchmarks. Because for the DGX Spark, raw speed isn't the whole story. Not even close. This quote right here, it really nails it. For any developer who's deep in the AI world, NVIDIA's software platform, CUDA, is basically the air they breathe. It's the industry standard. And trying to step outside of that ecosystem, well, you're just asking for a world of pain. You're dealing with buggy software, compatibility nightmares, this friction they talk about. It's a huge hidden cost in time and frustration. And that right there is the Spark's secret weapon, the whole NVIDIA ecosystem. You're not just buying a piece of hardware, you're buying into a complete professional package. We're talking a mature, stable software stack with things like CUDA and TensorRT that just work right out of the box. You get to skip all those compatibility headaches and late-night debugging sessions that you might run into on other platforms. So you can spend your time actually building cool stuff, not just trying to get your environment to work.
And this all enables what they call the desktop to data center workflow. And it's a huge deal. You can build and prototype your AI models on this little box on your desk. And here's the key. You're doing it knowing that it's running the exact same software as those monster NVIDIA servers in the cloud. So when you're ready to scale up, you just deploy. It's seamless. There's zero friction. It's a professional dev kit from top to bottom.
Oh, and check this out. Here's another little detail that just screams this is a pro tool. The Spark comes with a built-in Connect X7 networking card. Now, for most of us, that might not mean much, but this is a super high-end data center level piece of gear that can cost over $1,500 all on its own. You're just not going to find that in a consumer machine, ever.
Okay, so we've seen the weird performance, but we've also seen its hidden value in the software and pro hardware. So let's bring it all home. The real question you have to ask yourself is this. What kind of user are you? Because picking the right AI machine is all about finding the right tool for your specific job. So let's start here. Ask yourself, is your number one priority a smooth professional developer experience? Do you need something that works right out of the box and gives you that perfect bridge to scale up to the data center?
If you're nodding your head yes to that, then the DGX Spark is pretty much your answer. It's your best fit. You have to stop thinking of it as just a fast computer and start thinking of it as a polished, specialized development kit that's built for one thing: getting work done. But what if your needs are totally different? What if you couldn't care less about the development workflow? What if all you want is the absolute fastest possible response time when you're running a model, what's called inference?
Well, in that case, you should probably look somewhere else. The Mac Studio is an amazing choice for that insane memory bandwidth, all in a beautiful package. Or if you're willing to get your hands dirty, a DIY build with a couple of GPUs will give you the most raw speed, period. And finally, what if you're a hobbyist or an enthusiast? You want to run these huge models on your own machine, but you're also looking for the best possible bang for your buck in a compact box. Then yeah, the AMD Strix Halo is clearly the value champion here. It gives you performance that's surprisingly close to the Spark, but for almost half the price. Now, what's the catch? The trade-off is you'll be working in AMD's software world, which is getting better all the time, but it's not as mature as NVIDIA's yet.
So in the end, the DGX Spark isn't a simple machine with a simple answer. It's a very specific tool for a very specific job. And it really forces us to ask a bigger question about where desktop AI is headed. In this new race, what's the actual finish line? Is it just about raw, blistering speed? Or is it about having a perfect, frictionless workflow? The right answer? Well, it really depends on who you are and what race you're running.